Why are singers bad at rhythm? And I know I always want to say, no, I'm not. I'm not bad at rhythm. I'm actually really good at rhythm. But the truth is, like, as far as the musical world as a whole, singers are usually not the greatest when it comes to rhythm and sight reading. And I think it's fair to examine why. Because if you think that singers are just stupid, either stupid people or less capable intellectually, then we're saying that stupid people self-select by choosing to become singers over any other instrument. And I just don't think that that would be true. So I don't think it's logical to think that stupid people self-select by becoming singers. I just don't think that tracks. So then we have to look at the difference between singers and instrumentalists, if that's again where we find our differences. And when we look at that, I think we are going to see that the biggest difference comes from how we're introduced to music as children. When we think about instrumentalists and how they are introduced to their music, they can hear their instrument as well as their teacher's instrument. They can see their own instrument as well as see their teacher's instrument and see their teacher working on their instrument. And they can touch their instrument and see their teacher touching their instrument and touch their teacher's instrument and see how they're different, if at all. Whereas that's not something that singers necessarily get. Sure, we can see our teachers' bodies, but that's not really the instrument that we're trying to manipulate. The instrument we're trying to manipulate is tiny and frail and beautiful and inside of an entire casing that doesn't look necessarily like our teachers. Moreover, we can't touch our instrument, and we can't touch our teacher's instrument, and we can't really see everything that our teacher is doing to manipulate their own instrument. It just puts singers in such a unique position to be learning music, to have so much learning input cut off and to rely on less sensory learning input and to still come to such a level of musicality. I think it really speaks to how powerful and how smart the singer brain is. So one of the biggest differences between instrumentalists and singers is how they're learning music from sheet music. Whereas instrumentalists don't have to worry about words and are taught to isolate the pitches and the rhythms separate from each other and work on them. They also, when they're working on them on their instrument, can physically feel their rhythm in places other than their mouth. If it's a wind instrument or brass instrument, or if it's a piano, they're feeling all of these micro rhythms all within their hands and arms and entire body. Singers are learning rhythm at the same time in conjunction with words, which have their own cadence, which have their own rhythm separate to themselves prior to being set to music. And then we've got to consider that singers learning rhythms are at the mercy of composers in their understanding of the scansion of the language. So I think it's fair to say right off the bat that singers are put at a disadvantage just because they're having to combine learning rhythm with diction and words. Along that same vein, teachers have a tendency to take tools away from singers that make learning music easier, one of which is foot tapping, a tool that's encouraged in some instruments and required in others. Pianists who get to use the pedal And in other cases, tools are taken away from singers simply to make uniformed grading easier on the teachers. And that's not fair. Some singers learn fixed do, some singers learn movable do, some singers learn something else entirely. Moreover, in terms of count singing, some singers learned one eanda, two eanda, some singers learned one lolly, two lolly, some singers learned ta ti ta te tu. I don't know that one, but I did not appreciate some of my singers having to be tested on it when they knew confidently another style of count singing, simply because it was easier for the teacher to grade. So what can we do as singers to better equip ourselves to handle rhythm? We can seek experiences with rhythm that don't involve music, such as beatboxing and count singing. We can seek experiences with rhythm that don't include our own specific music, like karaoke or beatboxing. And we can seek experiences with rhythm divorced from pitch or words. Again, beatboxing comes to mind, as well as simply listening to the orchestration of music. And with that in mind, we're going to show you a couple ways to do that. The first exercise I want to introduce you to in terms of rhythm is count singing. Don't scroll away. Don't stop the video. Don't do it. All right, count singing is a lot better than singers give it credit for. You see, the first time I was introduced to count singing was probably the same as you in Theory 1, where we had to fill out those worksheets for homework, filling in the counts, and eventually we moved on to something else. Well, singers did. That, for instrumentalists, that was actually a tool that they could carry with them and do through all of their music practicing. Count singing became a daily part of their ritual, their practice. But once singers had to add words back into our music, because that's most of what our music consists of, we lost the reminder that we should be count singing. And I got a big reminder of how important count singing was when I was singing with a community choir. The choir director had planned a huge Messiah Sing in December with full orchestra, hired in soloists, and he wanted the choir, us, to sing every single chorus beautifully. And I don't think that's such a bad thing to ask for, but frankly, most choruses for Handel's Messiah are going to be a little bit sloppy. So right off the bat, we did a concert at the beginning of the semester so we could get our first one out of the way and focus the rest of the semester on count singing every chorus in the Handel's Messiah. That's what we did in the big choir. That's what we did in the smaller ensembles. That's what we did in the Tuesday night community choir. And the only place I got to escape it was the jazz ensemble, because jazz was not invited to participate in the Handel's Messiah. I wonder why. It would have gotten a lot worse. So for the entirety of the semester, we began with counting all of the choruses in the Handel's Messiah. Then we added pitch. It wasn't until 2 weeks before the concert that we were allowed to add words, and the only reason was because the director's wife had to remind him how close to the concert we were, how many choruses we had on the schedule, and the fact that we had not sung a single one with words. But when we added the words, it was so clean and so crisp and so precise that you would never have imagined That professional of a sound came from a university choir. And truthfully, in terms of Handel's Messiah, which I love, I've been searching for that high ever since. A chorus with those crisp, clean cutoffs. Oh, just love it. So, that in mind, I'm going to show you how to get that done. So, count singing in a 4/4 measure with 4/8 notes, 4 quarter notes, would be 1, 2, 3, 4. When we start over at the next measure, we return to 1. It breaks down further to the 8th note level with 1 and 2 and. Then breaks down to the 16th note level with 1 E and 2 E and So the exercise would to be going through your own music and filling in the counts as needed. Then, So how do we write in our counts in our own music? Let's take a look at Susanna's aria from La Nozze di Figaro. Well, the time signature is not 4/4, but 6/8, and since we're considering the primary beat to be considered the numbers, this shouldn't be a problem. We're thinking in 6/8, and we can begin writing in our beats. This measure begins on A6. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, and his method includes a -2. 3, 4, -5, 6. My method leaves them out. You can do as you please. We see here in the next measure that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Moving on to the next measure to complete the phrase, we have 1, parentheses 2, 3, and then precise silence on 4. So how might this look when you're counting it? Here's how it works in practice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that was pretty easy. And then, once we're comfortable with that, we add in the pitches. So once you get a little bit more used to count singing and putting that in your music, you're eventually not going to have to write in your counts at all. You're going to get so used to looking at those and feeling the rhythm that count singing becomes easy. I'm not saying it's easy for me all the time, but here's how it might look if you're a little bit more used to it. Hopefully I'm going to make some mistakes so you can see how I correct it. Likely I will make some mistakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 3, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 3, 4, 6. 1, 3, 6. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, that was wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 3, 6. 1,
3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. He was so quick to fix it. Damn it. I hate this. I hate it when it works. Fuck. So that's count singing.
Beatboxing. Beatboxing. Beatboxing is a really fun way to experience rhythm where the responsibility of melody has been completely removed from you. And as singers, that's not something we get to experience often. Even better, it also gives us an opportunity to play with our consonants, our diction, our fricatives, our sound maker without having to worry about being on pitch, which is a really fun thing to do. So I'm going to start by teaching you the very first beatboxing pattern that I ever learned that was actually taught to me by my younger brother. Whenever we were on road trips, we would, of course, annoy our parents to death, and they had rolled the windows up. We were not allowed to play our music. We weren't even allowed to talk to each other. So since this didn't break any of the rules, my brother taught me to beatbox. And then we played a game. So I'll show you the game at the end. But this is the pattern to learn to beatbox. We're going to think about barnyard animals. The animals that we're going to think about are the dove. And the animals we're going to think about are a whole flock of birds because for whatever reason, I guess we run an aviary. I don't know. So we have a parade of tiny birds that start with a dove.
Dove.
Dove. D-O-V-E, dove. Dove. It starts with a great D, 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 D. Often a consonant that doesn't travel very far, but gives us an awesome opportunity to practice. Then we end with the sound V, V, dove.
Dove.
And what's nice is that V is a fricative, I think. We'll see. And what's nice is that V travels so well on the breath that it can be used to take up space. Dove.
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 Can you go even longer?
Dove.
All right, all right, all right. I like that. I dig it. I dig it. Got to use that. That was, man, that was really good. It was really good. Thank you for showing that to the people. Well done to you. After the dove, we have a ducky. Just a cute little ducky waddling along after this dove. Has a great D sound at the beginning. D, D, D.
D, D, D.
That's our good CK duck sound. Let's start with just duck. Duck.
Duck.
Duck, duck.
Duck, duck.
Duck, duck, duck.
Duck, duck, duck.
Ah, but it's a cute one, so we're going to call it a ducky. Say ducky.
Ducky.
Whoo! Look at you go. So ducky's going to get shortened just a skosh. So we've got a dove and a ducky. Cool?
Okay.
We've got a third bird that just showed up.
Okay.
It's adorable. It's a chick. He's a little baby chick. So we've got no more D sounds, but we've got that CH at the beginning, followed by another CK. Got a good, cute little chick walking by, a chick, 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 chick. Very good. So now we're just going to call them out as they waddle on past. We've got dove, ducky, chick.
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 Well done. Look at you. Ah, crap. Another bird just showed up. Can you handle it?
We'll see.
All right. It's another ducky.
Oh.
I like a ducky. Oh, they're cute. So now we're just going to call them out again as they waddle on past.
Okay.
We've got a dove, ducky, chick, ducky.
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 Good job. All right. Well done. Now we're going to start to feel a beat. One. Dove, ducky, chick, ducky, dove, ducky, chick, ducky, dove, ducky, chick, ducky, dove, ducky, chick.
Dove, ducky, chick, ducky, dove, ducky, chick, ducky, dove, ducky, chick, ducky, dove, ducky, chick.
Well done. Now we're going to remove as much of those vowel sounds as we possibly can and ride as much of the percussive sounds and enjoy as many of the resonating chambers as we think we can feel.
Okay.
As we work on this beat.
Okay, there.
Awesome. Awesome. Look at you getting some bass at the bottom. I like it. All right. How'd that feel?
Started to get it towards the end, but yeah, it feels pretty good.
All right. All right. So I want you to imagine my brother teaching me this beatboxing pattern and then having me do it ad nauseum for the rest of the trip while he sang the Super Mario Brothers theme song. And since I could not get my brother here to perform it with me, I will be performing it for you. Jump in. And that's how you know you're a nerd. All right. Another great way for singers to experience rhythm is by listening to the aria orchestration only and mentally tracking your way through the piece. Look, I get it. Some days we just don't feel like practicing. The thought of walking over and touching the keyboard fills us with such anxiety, and yet we know we have to practice. So why not take advantage of the fact that mental practice is still practice? And if we still use a guided track, we have to exert less effort than before. Not only do we have the option of tracking our own melody all the way through the aria orchestration, you also have the option of just listening and enjoying the magnificence of the music underneath your vocal line. And if you have a little bit more energy and want to have a more full body experience with music and rhythm, why not get up and move to it? With that in mind, I'm going to play just a few seconds of the Por de Amor karaoke track put out by Karaoke Opera. And I'll drop the link right in the description below. But this is what me listening to and tracking the orchestration for one of my arias looks like. Wow. And just in observing how I was moving and thinking and breathing, just listening to it, I picked up a couple of habits that I am really glad that I did that about. I don't think my breaths were early enough. Do you? And I don't think it might not have been the first thing that popped into my head if I was working on the music out loud, but I do know that this is something that I can fix silently, and maybe it would be a great option for a day when I need to not disturb my neighbors with my loud honking, if you know what I mean.
This is my fourth and final trick I want to give to you as a singer for how to play with your rhythm without having to worry about pitch. What you see in front of you should be familiar. Caro Mio Ben, an art song we've probably all sung. It's been created on a program called Muse Score 3. I didn't input it. And it's a great resource to be able to practice and isolate whatever you want to work on. Assuming you already know how music notation software works, I want to show you a couple small changes I make to the score to help me understand and practice my music a little bit better. Here is what we hear the score like without any changes. Familiar. And then when we get to the voice, I don't love that, so I'd like to change it. I start by going to View and including the mixer. Make sure that it says that I'm on piano, so I can toggle back and forth and make sure that I'm on voice. And we see that the sound selected is choir Oz. I don't love that. If I'm working on pitch, I personally like trumpet or tuba, but whenever I'm working on rhythm by itself, my favorite instrument is woodblock. Now we can hear the voice part with woodblock. And what a great way to hear just the rhythm without having to worry about the pitch. And since the computer is playing it, we can be pretty sure that it's accurate. But what if we want to hear it alone without the piano part at all? We have the option of going over to the piano and turning the volume all the way down. Now we can hear our voice part, just the rhythm without the piano. And if that weren't good enough, which I think is pretty good by itself, the last tip I want to show you is to add in the metronome, which helps us not only hear the rhythm itself, but also hear the subdivisions and lock in a little bit better. Here's what that sounds like. Once we add in the metronome, we get that definitive pulse the whole way through. And that's it. that is my recommendation for how to play with your rhythm as a singer without having to worry about whether what you're creating is correct or not. It's an easy, fast way of making sure that you don't have to go through later and correct mistakes that you taught yourself. Well, I hope this has been helpful, and I look forward to helping you create more music excellence in the future. Thanks so much.